Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine a town so small where the high school is the beating heart of everything, and every family's life is sort of intertwined through Friday night lights and basketball games.
Hmm.
We're setting the stage in Bale City, Michigan, a really tight-knit, sports-obsessed farming community. And this idyllic setting was the site of a cyberbullying campaign so relentless, so profoundly intimate that it just shattered lives. It's a story you may have seen in the Netflix documentary, Unknown Number, The High School Catfish.
Right.
We're diving deep into the sources surrounding this because the true story isn't just a tale of online harassment. It's a terrifying domestic nightmare. A popular young athlete was subjected to 2 years of digital torture, not by a stranger, but by someone who knew her every move, her every feeling, every single secret.
Yeah, and the bully in this case was someone impossibly close.
Impossibly close.
And what's so fascinating here is that the sources let us move beyond just the surface shock of the reveal. This deep dive focuses on Lauren LaCourie and her boyfriend Owen McKenney. They were the archetypal golden couple of their school and the psychological torment they went through.
Mm-hmm.
But the real mission, I think, is to move past what happened and really analyze the baffling, multi-layered motivations of the perpetrator. We need to go and understand the complex mix of, pathological control, financial desperation, and hidden trauma that drove this crime, and the permanent damage it left behind.
So our mission today is pretty comprehensive. We're going to follow the case chronologically, tracking the digital breadcrumbs from that first strange text all the way to the stunning intervention by the FBI.
Right.
Then we'll pivot to the analysis, examining the perpetrator's really convoluted, confusing motives and exploring the complicated path forward for the key players now that the minimum sentence has been served.
To really grasp the isolation and the severity of this case, you have to picture Beale City.
Yeah, tell us about it.
I mean, this isn't just a small town. It's tiny. The population hovers right around 300 people.
Wow.
In communities, this intimate anonymity is it's impossible. Your reputation is your identity, and the whole social fabric is built around shared institutions, especially the K-12 school.
So everything revolves around the school.
Everything. And high school sports aren't just extracurriculars. They're the unifying force. They are the cultural barometer for everyone in town.
And Lauren and Owen were, as the sources called them, basically royalty in that world.
They really were. The couple everyone rooted for. They were childhood sweethearts, had been together since junior high, just a fixture in the community. Lauren was a star on the basketball court.
Right.
Owen excelled in football and baseball.
Yeah.
And their families weren't just friendly, they were deeply integrated. We're talking holidays, barbecues, relying on each other for support.
That level of closeness just makes what happened next feel, sacrilegious.
It does. And the initial invasion was so minor, it was, easily dismissed.
So how did it start?
The first sting happened near Halloween in October 2020. Lauren was only 13 years old. The texts were just simple mischief, really. Stuff suggesting Owen would break up with Lauren and go to a party with another girl.
Okay, so standard high school drama, kind of.
Exactly. Parents and teenagers alike, they all treated it as a petty juvenile prank. Probably some jealous classmate. They just assumed the sender would eventually get bored and move on.
And crucially, that's exactly what happened. Or so they thought.
Right. The messages stopped. There was this period of silence that offered a huge, comforting, but entirely false sense of security.
That silence wasn't a retreat, though. It was just a pause.
Just a pause. The true, overwhelming terror returned almost a year later, in September 2021. And this time, the volume and the viciousness. It just intensified beyond anything anyone could have imagined.
So what did that escalation look like?
The sources indicate that for over 15 months, the harassment was a daily, relentless onslaught. This wasn't an occasional bad day. This was chronic, pervasive abuse.
Just constant.
Constant. We're talking about 30 to 50 aggressive and abusive text messages per day.
Wow.
Every single day. The perpetrator's goal was clear. It was psychological demolition. The messages were designed to break Lauren down, dismantle her relationships, and make her doubt her own sanity.
And the documentation of the messages is truly horrifying. The content moves so quickly from simple jealousy to deep psychological violence.
It did. They contained sexually explicit and graphic claims designed to sow massive insecurity between the couple.
Like what?
Things like saying Owen was sexually dissatisfied with Lauren, using phrases like, he wants sex, BJS, and making out, he don't want a spree AA, and even the crass were both DTF.
Just awful. And then it got personal.
Oh yeah. Then the attacker pivoted to relentless, deeply personal insults, telling Lauren things like, Your lonely, ugly A is alone.
If the insults were damaging, the death threats were. I mean, that's the ultimate escalation of cruelty.
It is. The texts were explicit and terrifying, literally instructing her to commit suicide. Things like, kill yourself now, B, and the chilling, dead, #bang #suicide. This level of pathological cruelty, especially coming from someone whose purported motive was protection, is one of the darkest aspects of this case. It just shows a level of detached sadism that's hard to wrap your head around.
And here's where it gets really interesting and why the paranoia just gripped the entire community.
The godlike perspective.
Exactly. The sender wasn't using general insults. They were using real-time, intimate details that only someone in Lauren's immediate inner circle could possibly know.
Like her family nickname, Lo.
Yeah, they used her private nickname. They commented on exactly what she was wearing in class that day, specific changes to her hairstyle, and this is the most crushing part for an athlete. They even referenced her recent athletic failures.
Mocking her for only scoring 2 points in a specific basketball game.
Right. Think about the effect of that.
Oh, it's devastating. The sources confirmed that this real-time surveillance convinced everyone, the victims, the parents, local law enforcement, that the stalker was physically present.
Had him be a classmate.
A close friend, a teammate, someone deeply entrenched in their everyday lives. How do you function, how do you trust your peers when you realize the threat is constantly watching you? The person telling you to kill yourself is possibly sitting right next to you at lunch.
The sense of pervasive paranoia created by this digital ghost in the room must have been suffocating. It completely isolated her.
And that constant, intimate psychological warfare took an immediate and devastating toll, starting with the relationship between Lauren and Owen.
The harassment created massive insecurity, fights.
Right, and Owen, hoping to remove the sender's motivation, suggested they take a break. He thought, if they weren't dating, maybe the messages would stop.
A heartbreaking attempt to regain control.
But a profound miscalculation. The sender, far from stopping, only intensified the attack after the breakup. They gloated. They sent texts like, "I let you break up."
Wow. So that confirmed the harassment wasn't just about separating them.
Not at all. It was a continuous personal campaign of psychological torment directed specifically at maintaining control over Lauren.
And her life just started to collapse publicly.
Her grades suffered. Her performance on the basketball court. It just deteriorated. She became severely withdrawn, silent. The trust that underpins a small community like that was just gone. She couldn't trust her friends, her peers, because she knew the attacker was one of them.
So initially, she turns to her mother, Kendra, for support.
Yes. And Kendra played the role of the shocked, supportive mother and protector perfectly. She encouraged Lauren to try and ignore the texts, while at the same time taking the evidence to the school principal and the local sheriff.
And Kendra was also a high school basketball coach, which put her right in the middle of everything.
Exactly. She was already entrenched in the school system. It gave her immediate access and a really credible platform to involve herself deeply in the investigation.
Which provided the perfect cover for her own activities.
The perfect cover.
So because everyone thought the perpetrator was a student, the chaos just spread through Beale City.
Oh, absolutely. The community, already fractured, started to turn on itself. The investigation focused on classmates who might be driven by jealousy, and it led to students taking sides. The social cohesion of the school just dissolved.
And this brings us to the first major false alarm, a student named Chloe Wilson.
Right. Chloe was heavily suspected for a few reasons. She was known to have used burner accounts in the past, and her online language was reported to sometimes match the style of the abusive texts.
But the crucial piece was the party, wasn't it?
It was. Chloe's mother had hosted the party that was mentioned in that very first low-level text back in 2020. That historical connection just solidified the suspicion around her.
And the real perpetrator was actively feeding the suspicion with these little forensic details.
They were. The suspicion against Chloe intensified significantly when a text was sent referencing a specific 12-point game score, a score that matched Chloe's recent performance.
A clear, tactical attempt to frame her using real-life details.
It's a critical detail. The attacker wasn't just randomly accusing people. They were using sophisticated misdirection. They were taking real events and weaponizing them to focus law enforcement and community anger onto an innocent person.
But Chloe was cleared.
She was. She willingly submitted her phone for a technical sweep, which quickly and completely cleared her of any involvement.
Yet the pattern of misdirection continued. Suspicion number 2, Owen's cousin, Adriana.
Right. As the texts moved from traditional SMS to platforms like Instagram and Facebook, another critical, highly intimate detail emerged.
The photo.
The photo of Owen's private phone sent to Lauren. And this photo had been taken at a private McKinney family Christmas gathering.
So the perpetrator had to be there, at that private event.
Exactly. Since Adriana was a relative, a classmate, and an attendee, suspicion immediately shifted to her.
But again, the perpetrators showed their cunning.
They did. But this theory collapsed pretty quickly. Adriana herself was targeted by a framing text that was designed to pit her against Lauren. The text read, "Owen needs your help. We need to get Lauren away from him."
So by trying to recruit her, it made it obvious she wasn't the one sending them.
Right. It was another clear attempt to divert attention away from the real culprit and just reinforce the idea that the threat was still a peer.
Meanwhile, local law enforcement, specifically Sheriff Mike Main, they're just hitting an absolute wall.
A total wall. Traditional policing methods failed completely because the stalker was using these sophisticated apps that could regenerate new phone numbers constantly. Every time they tried to trace a number, it had already vanished or changed.
So this is the moment when the investigation required federal intervention.
It had to. This wasn't typical juvenile bullying. The technology the cyberbully was using VPNs to scramble the IP address, making the geographic location jump instantly from, say, California to Florida, was highly sophisticated.
So the sheriff was forced to admit he was out of his depth.
He was. He had exhausted his resources, and he realized this required computer crime specialists. The level of operational security the attacker was using was, and I'm quoting here, far exceeding the level of ordinary teenagers or even most adults. It signaled professional knowledge.
So this raises an important question then. If the stalker was using such sophisticated masking technology, how did the FBI finally break the case?
The key was a total shift in strategy. In April 2022, the FBI Computer Crimes Task Force, led by Bradley Peter, was brought in. Their expertise allowed them to stop chasing the phone numbers.
Which was a dead end.
A guaranteed dead end. And instead, they focused on tracking the infrastructure of the text app itself that was generating all those numbers.
Okay, let's unpack that technical breakthrough. How do you track the app when the numbers are always changing?
Well, the text apps themselves, even the ones designed for anonymity, have to rely on existing cellular networks to deliver the messages. So the FBI submitted a massive search warrant to the app company, demanding all the data related to the harassing messages.
And what did that show?
While the app masked the sender's identity to the recipient, the company's internal records revealed that some of the messages, despite the VPN and all the masking, were still being routed through a major carrier, Verizon.
So the VPN made the signal jump around the country, but the underlying data traffic still had to move through a major pipe. And that pipe left a record.
That's it, exactly. The first search warrant gave them the path, that Verizon routing data. The subsequent warrant to Verizon was the critical move. They weren't looking for the fake numbers anymore. They were looking for the single physical device that kept generating them.
And that record pinpointed a specific physical phone number that kept popping up despite all the masking.
A number that belonged to the family's mother, Kendra Licari.
The shock must have been immense, but looking back at the sources now, the signs of guilt, however bizarre, were starting to make sense.
The pieces just clicked into place in retrospect.
Yeah.
Owen's mother, Jill, recalled Kendra's incredibly odd behavior. Even months after Lauren and Owen had broken up, Kendra kept probing Owen's love life.
Asking really specific questions about who he was seeing.
Yeah, who he was interested in. Jill explicitly told her to stop, but Kendra persisted. Now we know she was clearly trying to gather fresh material for the next wave of abusive texts.
There was also the physical, geographical evidence. The Christmas party.
Right. Jill confirmed that Kendra had been present at the McKinney family's private Christmas party. That was the exact place where the incriminating photo of Owen's private phone, the one used to frame Adriana, was taken.
So only a handful of people could have taken it.
And Kendra was one of them. Sean, her husband, was ruled out early on.
But maybe the most telling piece of behavioral evidence was what the sources called the over-explanation.
The spilled coffee incident.
Tell us about that.
Owen's father saw Kendra just sitting alone in her car near the school. This was well after basketball season was over, so it was strange for her to be parked there. Later that day, Kendra proactively called Owen's mother, Jill, with this unsolicited and really detailed excuse. She claimed she had bought coffee, spilled it all over herself, and had to pull over to clean up the mess.
And why is that so suspicious? I mean, people spill coffee all the time.
Because it was unsolicited and overly specific. Jill hadn't asked her what she was doing. Kendra felt compelled to offer a highly detailed, justifiable excuse for being in an unusual place at an unusual time.
Suggesting she knew she was observed and needed to establish an alibi.
Immediately. It's classic behavior in cases of ongoing deception deflection before you're even accused.
The investigation finally culminated in December 2022. Police arrived at the LeCarre home with a search warrant. The documentary has this raw body cam footage of the moment.
It's incredible footage. It really conveys the emotion of that confrontation.
The local sheriff confronted Kendra with the evidence.
At first, she denied everything. Just a flat, simple no. But when she was faced with the undeniable technical evidence, the Verizon records linking the messages directly to her secret phone, she stopped denying the facts and became very cooperative.
She pivoted immediately to damage control.
Immediately. And her attempts to deflect blame were so disturbing. They revealed the chaos inside her own mind.
First, she tried to blame her husband, Sean.
Right. And then she launched into the most shocking claim of all.
Yeah.
She suggested that Lauren herself had self-generated the entire crisis for attention, a vicious attempt to paint her own victim as the architect of the torment.
But ultimately, she confessed.
She admitted to sending the texts. But the real emotional trauma captured on that body cam footage wasn't just the betrayal. Lauren was initially in stunned silence, just disbelief. Her father, Sean, was immediately irate.
But the sources indicate Lauren didn't truly break down until she saw what was happening to her family.
Exactly. She broke down when she realized the exposure of the truth meant her family structure would never be the same.
That must have been a devastating moment. But the last piece of the technical puzzle, the thing that explained why the FBI was even needed, was also revealed then.
How did a mother and basketball coach have the operational security skills of a professional cybercriminal?
Right.
It wasn't random knowledge. It was revealed that Kendra had a professional background in IT. She specialized in phone technology, computer repair, and network setup. This explained everything. The VPN usage, the number masking, her ability to expertly avoid being traced. She was using her professional skills to create this massive network of deception against her own daughter.
So we have a technically sophisticated pathological crime. Now we have to dive into the most complex part of this case. Why? If she was sending up to 50 texts a day, including death threats, what on earth led her down this path?
When she was finally confronted, Kendra offered an explanation that was rooted in her own unhealed personal trauma.
She claimed she was sexually assaulted at 17.
Right. And she argued that as Lauren entered adolescence and started dating, she became afraid of letting her grow up. Her stated motivation was to protect her and keep her safe by deliberately sabotaging her relationship and forcing Lauren to remain close and dependent on her.
An extreme pathological form of overprotection.
Incredibly extreme. She also tried to mitigate her guilt by claiming she didn't send the first batch of texts back in 2020, but only jumped in later to root out the actual perpetrator.
But law enforcement debunked that.
Immediately and forcefully. They confirmed that every single message, from the very first one to the last death threat, was traced back to her secret phone. This just solidified the view that Kendra was a completely unreliable narrator, constantly trying to minimize her actions and revise history.
And that unreliability forces us to look beyond her stated motivation and analyze the second parallel motive revealed by the sources. This massive web of financial fraud.
The hidden life she was maintaining throughout the entire cyberbullying campaign. Kendra was the family's main source of income, but that income had actually dried up years before her arrest.
The timeline of her professional deception is just astonishing, and it aligns perfectly with the escalation of the abuse.
It does. In 2019, she was fired from Central Michigan University for performance issues. She immediately lied to her husband, Sean, about a new, higher-paying job at Ferris State.
Even inventing a big pay raise to justify buying a dream house?
Right, plunging the family deeper into debt based on fictional earnings. Then, in 2021, precisely when the severe harassment of Lauren began, Kendra quit her job at Ferris State after being placed on a performance improvement plan.
And the reason for that plan?
Excessive time spent on her phone. Time we now know was dedicated to building her campaign of terror. The sources suggest she just ran out of excuses for her poor performance because she was too obsessed with maintaining her digital life.
So while sending 30 to 50 abusive texts a day, she was pretending to work from home, even faking work calls to keep up the illusion.
And the bills piled up. Collectors filed lawsuits. And this is the key connection. Whenever Sean questioned the mounting financial stress, Kendra masterfully deflected by refocusing all the family's emotional energy onto the severity of Lauren's cyberbullying crisis.
The crisis became a strategic necessity.
Absolutely. The sources and expert analysis suggest the constant, devastating family crisis she engineered was a deliberate way to distract from her mounting financial problems. She needed a crisis large and dramatic enough, a matter of life and death, to completely shield her lies about money and employment.
And it all came to a head when they were actually evicted.
Evicted from their dream house in April 2022. But she lied to Sean, saying the house just needed temporary repairs, maintaining the facade until the very end.
This confluence of extreme psychological need and desperate financial cover-up, it leads us into the darker pathological theories about her behavior. The first one is digital Munchausen by proxy.
Yeah, digital Munchausen by proxy, or DMBP. It's a behavioral parallel where a caregiver deliberately induces harm or illness in a dependent, in this case psychological illness, via cyberbullying, in order to then assume the role of the protective, heroic mother.
By creating the victim, she could then step in as the only trusted source of comfort.
And gain him immense attention, sympathy from the community, and most importantly, complete psychological control over Lauren.
The documentary director, Skye Borgman, she cautioned against a formal diagnosis.
She did, as she's not a medical professional. But the behavioral parallels are stark. It perfectly fits the model. Harming someone in order to keep them close, dependent, and under your control. It provided this twisted psychological compensation for her professional failures and allowed her to feel powerful when her real life was collapsing.
And that ties into the concept of a controlling addiction.
I think so. Her ability to manipulate the minds and emotions of not just Lauren, but Owen, the McKinney family, the entire high school, it provided a twisted psychological satisfaction. She wasn't just controlling her daughter, she was controlling the narrative of the entire town.
And for a person who had lost all control over her own career and finances, manipulating this massive crisis became her singular, all-consuming purpose.
She became, as one source called it, her own objects-only fan, filling the empty hours caused by her unemployment with this elaborate, destructive performance.
We also have to consider the unsettling possibility raised by Owen and his mother, Jill.
The inappropriate attraction to Owen.
Yeah. They cited her oddly attentive actions, cutting his steak into bite-sized pieces, frequently initiating one-on-one check-ins with him, and continuing to attend his games long after the couple had broken up.
That theory adds another bizarre layer to the motive analysis. It suggests the primary goal was eliminating Lauren as a romantic rival, which does fit the intensely sexual and degrading nature of some of the texts.
But we have to apply some critical distance here.
We do. The sources confirm Kendra was never directly asked to respond to this specific claim in the documentary. So while it's a powerful narrative element raised by the victims, we have to weigh it as a possibility derived from their observation, not a proven aspect of her confession.
So is it a key motive, or is it just understandable community gossip trying to explain the unexplainable?
It probably just fed the general chaos and paranoia.
But perhaps the most horrifying and truly unanswered question remains the motivation behind those death threats. Why would a mother who claims she's trying to protect her daughter send messages explicitly urging her to commit suicide?
The motive for sending those suicidal messages remains completely unclear, even to the investigators and the director. Kendra denied being scared of Lauren actually hurting herself, which means she wasn't trying to scare her into dependence.
So what was the point?
Director Borgman called the act incredibly extreme and believed Kendra is an unreliable narrator who may have a little bit of revisionist history in her account. The death threats are the ultimate dark paradox of the case, a moment where the control motive seemingly crossed into a territory where she risked actual tragedy. It just defies the supposed protective motivation entirely.
So it seems like the totality of her motive wasn't one thing, but a catastrophic synergy of failure, trauma, financial ruin, and pathological control, all weaponized through the anonymity of the digital world.
Following her confession and arrest in December 2022, Kendra was charged with multiple serious counts, including stalking and using a computer to commit a crime.
After initially deflecting blame, she eventually pleaded guilty to 2 counts of stalking a minor in April 2023.
Right, acknowledging the irrefutable evidence against her.
And the sentencing reflected the seriousness of the crime, a minimum of 19 months up to a maximum of 5 years.
She was incarcerated, but served the minimum term and was subsequently released on parole on August 8, 2024, which means she is now back in the community, though under very stringent conditions.
And the specifics of her parole are crucial here.
They are. She'll remain under state supervision until 2026. Key conditions include finding and keeping a job, not leaving the state without permission, and most importantly, following a strict condition of the plea deal. No contact with Lauren unless Lauren initiates it.
And she has to seek and maintain professional mental health treatment.
Yes, that's critical.
The greatest silver lining in this devastating story, I think, is the change within the Licari household. Sean and Kendra divorced, and Sean received full custody of Lauren.
And their father-daughter relationship, forged in this crucible of betrayal, has deepened immensely. The sources describe it as really loving and respectful. Sean has provided the stable, trusting environment that Kendra systematically destroyed.
Lauren, now 18, has shown just remarkable resilience. She graduated high school in 2024 and plans to study criminology.
A choice that gives her this analytical, academic lens through which to process and understand the crime committed against her.
But her relationship with her mother is, understandably, complex and constantly evolving.
Incredibly. The director noted that Lauren's view shifted dramatically over the course of the incarceration. In 2023, while her mother was in prison, Lauren missed her deeply and spoke of wanting reconciliation.
But by 2024, after Kendra's release, her perspective hardened.
It did. She became more cautious and pragmatic. She stated clearly that she wants Kendra to get the necessary long-term psychological help before they even attempt any form of reconciliation.
She still loves her mother.
She said she loves her more than anything, but she is now, as an adult, setting necessary boundaries rooted in self-preservation.
And this complexity brings us back to the director's insightful observation. Lauren's path forward is truly uncharted waters.
As Borgman noted, everybody else can hate Kendra. I don't think Lauren can, right? It's your mom. Lauren is the only one who has to reconcile the mother she loved with the tormentor who terrorized her. She's now the decision maker, empowered to determine if or when her mother can re-enter her life.
What about Owen, the other primary victim?
He and Lauren never got back together. Yeah. He's now at a small private college, playing baseball, trying to move forward. But the paranoia Kendra instilled, it lingers in the community. Some people, including Owen, still harbor anger, occasionally questioning whether Lauren might have known the truth earlier.
Highlighting the lasting damage to trust in Beale City.
The betrayal was so immense, people still struggle to fully believe one person acted alone.
And it's so vital we acknowledge the collateral damage, the other victims like Chloe Wilson and Adriana, who are unfairly targeted.
Absolutely. The documentary is praised for giving a voice to these innocent students, showing how easily suspicion can destroy relationships and trust in an already fragile small-town environment. They were just pawns in Kendra's crisis management plan.
The ultimate takeaway here, according to the experts, transcends the crime itself and serves as a critical educational opportunity.
Yeah, Director Boardman's call to action is powerful and simple. Listen to your kids, understand the threats that are out there, and give them the ability to make good decisions. This extreme case just underscores the devastating reality that teens are navigating sophisticated cyberbullying every single day. The crime showed us that technology allows the pathological to operate with impunity for far too long.
This was the shocking true story behind Unknown Number, the high school catfish. A case where a mother used her professional technical skills and a catastrophic web of financial lies to orchestrate a sophisticated digital torture campaign against her own daughter to fulfill a deeply pathological need for control and attention. It is a profoundly unnerving look at what happens when digital deception becomes a person's entire reality.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the case really shows us that in the age of social media and online anonymity, the ability to edit yourself, to construct and live this elaborate lie, creating a massive virtual performance, can become so consuming that your own identity is destroyed by the role you're playing.
So Kendra was using the crisis to distract from her catastrophic real-life failures,
creating a powerful, destructive self-deception that unfolded in plain sight for 2 years.
As Kendra Licari is now navigating parole, consider the complexity of Lauren's path forward. She has to decide, as a resilient young adult entering college, what relationship, if any, she will allow with the person who claimed to love her more than anything, even as she destroyed her sense of safety and trust. What stands out to you about the true, lasting cost of that profound digital betrayal?